or at least potentially productive? What if we can only achieve through failure? What if we need to be broken to create? In allowing myself to want and to imagine and to think about pregnancy, I also find a gentleness within my body and an acceptance of the soft parts I find hard. Failure is an ugly word for anomaly. As a person, I am used to my body failing me. After the first miscarriage, we decided that we would tell people when we got pregnant. Not telling people means that either you miscarry without support, or you find yourself telling people about a pregnancy and a miscarriage at the same time. After the first miscarriage, we decided that we would tell the people we wanted on the journey with us. If there was joy, we wanted to be able to share it. And if there was mourning, we wanted to be able to share that too, and to mourn together in community. Not telling people I was pregnant had not protected my feelings, and it had not protected the pregnancy. It may have protected our friends from the knowledge of our miscarriage, but at the cost of isolation and of the denial of intimacy. And so the next time there were 2 blue lines, we shared our news. Miscarriage made that next pregnancy feel vulnerable. And instead of feeling pregnant, I felt a little bit pregnant. When this pregnancy too became one that was not going to result in a baby, we told people. I wrote about it in part so that I didn't have to talk about it all the time. In naming our miscarriage, I discovered that failure is inherently part of having a body. Almost all the people I know who have tried to create babies in their bodies have experienced miscarriage. Some have experienced it over and over again. And it was incredibly helpful to know how common this was, to mourn my loss and their losses, to feel broken in community. It also felt like there was a giant conspiracy of silence around miscarriage, and that silence fostered shame and blame and guilt, and the sense that everyone else had perfect bodies that did as was wanted of them. Suddenly, we were imperfect together. I am not willing to allow that miscarriage is a failure of the body, but it is most certainly a failure of hope. It is, however, the very nature of hope to begin again and to start anew. Lest it sound like I think that having a uterus is a failure, let it be clear that I think it is part of the human condition. Failure, not necessarily a uterus. Our bodies do not respond to regulation as we would like. They are unruly. They break when we want them to bend. They hurt when we would rather they not. Capitalism depends on us feeling like our bodies are failures. The weight loss industry, the fashion industry, the plastic surgery industry all work to foster our own senses of failures. Having a body is hard, but it is better than the alternative. I did not fail because I was trans. I failed because I had a body, and all of us are failing. And perhaps we need to let that go and just get on with being instead. I am my body. I am my body. We are inseparable. But I am also a hybrid, a chimera. Increasingly, science recognizes that fetal cells cross into the gestational parent, living in us, becoming part of us. And this is true for the 2 children that I birthed, and for the 2 pregnancies that did not result in babies. My body is mine, and my pregnancies are written into it. I love the idea that this makes pregnancy into a trancing of the body. I was just me, and now I always have company in my body, cells that I made and are not me. As the 2 I birthed grow, and I know more and more about them, I imagine their personalities in their cells that I still carry. I don't get to know anymore about the 2 that never came along, but I imagine their cells still within me. We are all intimate. The body does not discriminate between the ones who arrived and the ones who did not, and I have a tiny chorus of others within me. Sometimes I imagine a genetic photo album inside me, in my blood. I love knowing that the traces of even the ones that never arrived get to come home in my body.